Imagine you lie down tonight, the blanket soft against your skin, and the world outside fades, and as your eyelids lower, time itself stops. The clocks pause, rivers freeze mid-flow, stars hang suspended like lanterns in the sky, and yet you drift on, breathing quietly, untouched by the frozen silence. Now picture the stillness more deeply. The silver glow of moonlight, held forever in one place, no wind stirring the branches, no sound echoing through the night air. Within this impossible pause, you feel something stirring. A thought, almost unsettling, but strangely soothing. What if the very moments of your sleep are carved outside the flow of time? If time truly ceases when you rest, then who are you when you awaken again? And if such mysteries speak to you, subscribe to this channel, and in the comments share whether you believe dreams might last longer than the hours we count. The hush deepens, you continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. For some minds, such a paradox becomes more than a dreamlike curiosity. Consider how, in 1983, Benjamin Libet at the University of California observed what he called the readiness potential, a flicker of neural preparation that appeared in the brain before a conscious decision was reported. To some, this suggested the mind lingers slightly outside the strict tick of the clock. You imagine the faint hum of a laboratory monitor, the glow of an oscilloscope tracing tiny waves. While outside the window the night remained quiet, the air cool on the skin. As you soften into this vision, you might recall how philosophers long before Libet hinted at similar mysteries. Augustine, in the 4th century, described time as something the soul measures within itself. If so, then perhaps when you rest your soul, lets go of its own measuring rod. Perhaps in that gentle release, the river of time bends, waiting while you wander through its secret corridors. Picture this a room lit only by the dim golden light of a candle. The clock upon the wall, with its steady tick, slows, then halts. Your heartbeat, however, continues quietly, like a tide whispering against distant sand. You step forward and see others frozen mid-gesture, as if waiting for you to return. The quiet carries a weight of mystery, but it does not threaten. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. The question begins to unfurl within you. If time pauses with sleep, does the dreamer live beyond the physical world's rhythm? Neuroscientist Giulio Tononi in 2004 proposed the integrated information theory, suggesting that consciousness itself is not bound entirely by sequence, but by patterns of information. Imagine these patterns weaving like silver threads through a vast, still loom. Each dream you experience might be more than a flicker. It could be a whole tapestry of timeless thought. With each quiet breath, the world around you grows softer. The whispers of distant rain, or the faint hum of a refrigerator in the dark, seem stretched thin, as though sound itself has less urgency. You sense the air cooling gently against your cheek. The blankets feel heavier, more protective, drawing you down. And in this stillness, you realize something. What appears impossible may in fact be the very stage upon which your inner life plays. For a moment you might wonder, if clocks and stars and rivers could pause every night while you drift into sleep, how would you know? Perhaps your dreams are already longer than you think, lasting not minutes, but entire lifetimes in that silent pause. And if reality grants you that vastness in every quiet night, then the mystery of who you are becomes even more spacious. And if time can stop, what else might soften, dissolve, and widen as you rest? Imagine the stones of forgotten temples, half buried in sand, their shadows stretching across a silent desert. The carvings seem to whisper of stars, of gods, of rhythms not measured by the clocks we hold today. You run your hand over the cool surface, the dust clinging faintly to your fingertips, and you wonder, were they measuring time itself, or something beyond it? The image sharpens in your mind a night sky, so full of light that every star feels closer than the breath on your lips. Somewhere in ancient Egypt, priests aligned towering obelisks with the heavens, watching as shadows stretched and shortened with the sun. Yet in their sacred texts, time was not a river flowing forward, but a circle, an eternal return. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper, imagining how time might not move at all but wait, endlessly looping around itself. Scholars have studied the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Upanishads of India, and the fragments of Mayan codices, noting how each tradition described nights of timeless travel. The Mayans spoke of the dream realm as a parallel layer of reality, a corridor where one could meet ancestors. The Vedic sages spoke of deep sleep, sushupti, as a state where the self rested beyond all change. In 2001, neuroscientist Marcus Rakel identified the brain's default mode network, humming when the mind was free from external demands. Ancient voices and modern science seem to meet the quiet mind does not vanish, but perhaps steps into the very stillness those temples honored. You close your eyes within this story and imagine standing in a dim corridor beneath stone arches. Torches flicker, their light golden and wavering, casting long shadows on walls etched with spirals. The air is cool, damp with the scent of earth. In the distance, you hear a faint hum, like wind moving through a hollow chamber. A sense of safety steadies you. Everything can soften now. And as you walk forward, the thought deepens. Perhaps sleep is not the loss of time, but its sacred preservation. An anecdote comes to mind. In the ruins of Chichen Itza, archaeologists uncovered an observatory shaped to mirror the stars. The Mayan priests would wait in silence for Venus to appear at dawn, believing that when the star vanished, it was traveling through hidden corridors of night. Imagine yourself there, hundreds gathered, the sky tinted indigo, the hush of the crowd pressing like velvet against your skin. When the first light breaks, you feel the shiver of eternity passing through you. Modern studies echo this sense of timeless corridors. At Maimonides Medical Center in the 1970s, Dr. Stanley Krippner conducted dream telepathy experiments. Dreamers were shown images before sleep. Others attempted to dream of those images without ever seeing them. Patterns suggested that minds might reach across the silence of night, as though unbound by ordinary hours. As you continue to listen, you might imagine minds drifting together in the quiet, connected by unseen threads, the way ancient priests believed stars were woven across the heavens. You pause, breathing softly, and wonder how those civilizations held such different understandings of time, yet all carried the same reverence for its mystery. Perhaps they knew, as you sense now, that when you fall into slumber, the minutes on the clock are not the whole story. The stone, the shadow, the whisper of a priest's chant, all were markers of something beyond the tick of seconds. And here in your own rest, as the cool air brushes against your cheek and the soft weight of blankets holds you gently, you realize that you too are part of that lineage. Every night, when you drift into dreams, you echo their rituals. The stars may seem distant, the temples may stand in ruin, but the mystery they touched still breathes within you. Time dissolves like sand slipping through fingers. Perhaps when you close your eyes, you step into the same still corridor the ancients once walked. And if they are right, if time is not a straight line but a circle, then perhaps your sleep is the very doorway through which eternity itself passes quietly, waiting for you to enter. Imagine a figure seated in silence beneath a tree, the lantern of the moon overhead, the air cool upon the skin, the faint chorus of crickets vibrating in the distance. His eyes are half closed, his breath slow, his mind turned inward. The night feels suspended, as though the universe itself leans in to listen. Mystical teachers often spoke not of time as a chain, but as a veil, and when the veil thins, you drift into a place where hours no longer matter. The words of the Buddha, carried across centuries, describe awareness as a flame that neither begins nor ends, flickering yet unbroken. In the Sufi tradition, Rumi wrote of nights when time itself lay down and slept beside the dreamer. Such images are not merely poetic. They carry within them the suggestion that time is not an absolute, but an experience woven by consciousness. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper, as though your own awareness mirrors these timeless voices. In 2004, neuroscientist Anil Seth spoke of perception as a controlled hallucination, the mind shaping reality moment by moment. If the mind sculpts reality while awake, then in sleep it might shape time itself. Picture the gentle hum of a ceiling fan, the shadow of leaves moving faintly on your wall, and the sensation of weight dissolving from your shoulders. You realize you are safe here, nothing urgent, just rest. Ancient texts echo this. The Upanishads describe the self as the witness of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. That witness, they said, remains unchanged as the world of time rises and falls. The Tibetan Bardo Tardal, often called the Book of the Dead, guided the soul through dreamlike passages between worlds, treating sleep as a rehearsal for eternity. These traditions spoke not of clocks, but of corridors of awareness, where one step could open into entire universes. A short scene unfolds. You stand in a vast library, lit by a silver glow. The shelves rise endlessly, their books breathing faintly as though alive. You reach out and brush your hand across the leather binding of one ancient volume. It is warm, almost pulsing. You open it and see not words but images that move, whole leaves unfurling between the pages. You hear a low whisper, soft as the rustle of paper, and it feels as though the library itself is dreaming through you. Modern thinkers notice the parallels. philosopher David Bohm spoke of an implicate order, where time and space are enfolded like hidden patterns in a tapestry. What appears separate in the waking world could be unified beneath, revealed only when consciousness shifts. When you sleep, perhaps you are tracing those folds, wandering the deeper weave. In 1997, physicist Max Tegmark considered how the universe itself might be a kind of mathematical structure, suggesting that time is not a flowing river, but a frozen landscape in which your awareness glides along a path. You feel the cool air across your cheek as you take this in, the hush of the night wrapping around you like a shawl. An anecdote surfaces. An old Zen master once asked a disciple, "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" The student wrestled with the impossibility. Yet in dreams, such riddles dissolve. You can hear silence. You can see time. You can touch eternity. Imagine sitting with the master in a quiet garden. The faint splash of water from a stone fountain beside you, the fragrance of pine in the dusk. His eyes close, and you feel your own mind widen, drifting toward a place beyond measure. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, and the teachings of these timeless voices begin to feel less like distant philosophy and more like a gentle map of your own rest. They suggest that every night, when you lie down and surrender, you are touching the same mystery they sought. Where time loosens, where the self is not bound, where silence becomes a doorway. Perhaps those teachers were not describing something outside you at all. Perhaps they were pointing inward, to the quiet space you now feel spreading within your chest, calm and tender. And if this quiet is the same that mystics have known for centuries, then perhaps your own sleep carries you into the very wisdom they guarded. A wisdom where time no longer ticks forward, but rests, softly waiting for you to join it. Imagine a candlelit chamber where scholars bend over parchment, ink glistening in the dim light, the faint scratch of quills echoing against stone walls. The air smells faintly of wax and dust. Outside, the night is still, but inside the chamber, the question of time stirs endlessly. Centuries ago, thinkers sought to measure what seemed unmeasurable. They weighed shadows, watched pendulums, listened to the ticking of gears. Yet for every device they crafted, time slipped between their fingers like water. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. Imagining Galileo in the Cathedral of Pisa in the 1600s, noticing the swing of a lantern. The flame rocked back and forth, and he timed it with his pulse. From this simple image, the quiet arc of light, the soft rhythm in his chest, he glimpsed the law of pendulums. Time became measurable in a new way. And yet, beneath that discovery lingered a paradox. If you measure the swing by your own heart, who truly governs the flow? By the 17th century, Isaac Newton described time as absolute, flowing steadily without relation to anything outside itself. The ticking of the universe, he suggested, could be imagined as the ticking of a perfect clock. Picture Newton in his study, candlelight flickering over mathematical diagrams, the silence punctuated by the faint creak of wood beneath his chair. He was searching for order, a structure that could hold all motion, all change. And yet even then, questions lingered in the shadows. What if time was not as solid as he believed? A short scene unfolds. You walk through a quiet hall where great clocks stand in rows. Their pendulums swing, their gears hum. The tick of each hand overlaps into a low chorus of sound. You feel the smooth wood beneath your fingertips, the faint vibration of movement humming up through your arm. And then, in an instant, all the clocks stop. Silence presses against you. The stillness feels heavy but strangely calming. You realize you are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Centuries later, Albert Einstein would challenge Newton's certainty. In 1905, he proposed that time was not fixed but relative, shifting with speed and gravity. Imagine the stars above bending light across the void, clocks ticking slower near massive suns. What felt so absolute now softened into a flexible fabric. The implication was vast. Time could stretch, time could slow, time could even appear to pause. The universe was no longer a rigid clock, but a quiet, pliable veil. In 1971, Joseph Haffel and Richard Keating flew atomic clocks around the world aboard commercial airplanes. When the clocks returned, they disagreed with those left on Earth, confirming Einstein's theory. You picture the faint hum of engines, the glow of instruments in a dim cockpit, the cool press of air recirculating. The pilots had not felt time stretch, yet the numbers told the truth. Sleep itself might feel this way. You do not notice the shift, but when you wake, hours have dissolved. The philosopher Henry Bergson argued against Einstein, claiming that true time was not a matter of equations, but of lived experience. To Bergson, time was duration, a flow that consciousness alone could touch. Perhaps both were right. The scientist tracing equations in silence, and the dreamer feeling the endlessness of a single night. Together, they point to a truth whispered in the darkness. Time is both measure and mystery. Imagine standing in an ancient observatory, stone walls framing a narrow slit to the sky. The stars drift across slowly, but your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts all move differently. You reach out, feeling the cool stone, the faint roughness beneath your palm. A hush fills the chamber, and you understand what those scholars long to know: that time can be observed, but never truly held. Modern neuroscience adds another layer. In 2009, Patrick Haggard studied the sense of voluntary action at University College London, exploring how the brain prepares for movements before we consciously feel them. Just as Lebet suggested earlier, the flow of time within your mind is not the same as the ticking on the wall. The readiness appears first, awareness after. Perhaps time within you is always one step out of sync with the clocks you trust. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You begin to see how science itself carries its own contradictions. Newton's ticking certainty dissolves into Einstein's relativity, which in turn dissolves into Bergson's duration and the neural delays of Haggard's findings. At each stage, time appears less like a fixed ruler and more like a shifting mirror. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The weight of blankets presses gently against you, and the faint hum of night surrounds you like a cradle. In this space, you realize that the foundations of modern science, though powerful, rest on mysteries still unresolved. What began as lantern swings and ticking pendulums has become questions about consciousness itself. And as the shadows lengthen, a final wonder arises. If the deepest truths of time are still uncertain, then perhaps the silence you feel in sleep is not emptiness at all. Perhaps it is the very edge of discovery, waiting for your mind to drift across it. Imagine a universe that rearranges itself the moment you look at it, as if reality were shy, revealing one face when observed and another when hidden. The thought itself feels like a paradox, your presence shaping the very fabric of time. The room around you dims, the air cools softly against your cheek, and you feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into the story of revolutions in scientific thought. In the early 20th century, scientists shattered Newton's vision of certainty. Werner Heisenberg in 1927 introduced the uncertainty principle. You could not know both position and momentum with perfect clarity. A particle seemed to slip from your grasp if you tried to hold it too tightly. Imagine standing before a pool of water under moonlight. You reach out to touch the reflection, but the surface ripples, the image slipping away. The particle, like the moon's shimmer, resists capture. Niels Bohr, working in Copenhagen, proposed that reality at the smallest scale behaves like a wave and a particle at once. He called it complementarity. In quiet experiments, beams of electrons created patterns of light and shadow depending on how they were watched. The laboratory hums in your imagination, glass tubes glowing faintly, the crackle of instruments, the scent of ozone in the air. To Bohr, the observer was not separate from the observed. In this vision, time itself seemed pliable, bending with each act of attention. Consider the delayed, choice experiment of John Wheeler in 1978. Photons traveling across space could appear to decide their nature, wave or particle, based on a measurement made after their journey. Imagine this, a beam of starlight traveling for billions of years across the void, only to have its destiny altered in the final instant by your choice of how to look. You sense the vastness of night pressing against the windows, yet inside, the air feels safe, tender, holding you as if time itself had paused. The story deepens. Hugh Everett, in 1957, proposed the many worlds interpretation. Every possibility, he suggested, might unfold in a branching universe. The sound of wind brushing leaves outside your window could echo differently in countless versions of reality. One where you drift into dreams now, another where you stay awake a little longer. The weight of blankets holds you steady, reminding you that you are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, decades later, suggested that consciousness itself might emerge from quantum processes within neurons. OR, they called it, orchestrated objective reduction. If they are right, then your awareness is not merely floating in time, but entangled with the deepest structures of reality. Imagine the silver glimmer of moonlight falling across your pillow, and beneath it, countless unseen vibrations within your brain weaving a tapestry of awareness. Time, in this view, is not a simple line but a fragile, shimmering net. A short scene unfurls. You walk into a quiet observatory at midnight. The dome curves above, painted with stars. The air is cold, crisp, carrying the faint scent of metal. Telescopes hum gently as motors track constellations across the dark. You place your hand on the cool surface of one telescope, feeling its quiet vibration, and you realize that all these revolutions in thought are like lenses, each giving you a different glimpse of the same infinite sky. Philosopher Eugene Wigner once wrote that consciousness plays a role in measurement, that perhaps without the observer, the universe remains a cloud of probabilities. You pause here, listening to the hum of your own breathing, the faint creak of the house settling around you, and you wonder, are you measuring time, even now with your awareness? Or is time waiting, softly folded, until you drift past the edge of waking? Revolutions in science never end in certainty. They end in wider questions. Each step, Heisenberg's uncertainty, Bohr's complementarity, Wheeler's delayed choice, Everett's many worlds, leads you to the same doorway, that time is not what it first appears. It is less a line and more a veil, shifting, responsive, elusive. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. You feel the rhythm of these revolutions mirrored in your own body. Certainty dissolves into mystery. Tension dissolves into calm. Awareness loosens into dream. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The night enfolds you, and the quiet grows tender around you. The scientists who once wrestled with paradoxes remind you of something simple, that even in the vastness of unanswerable questions, there is peace in resting with them. And as your body settles deeper into stillness, a final wonder lingers. If every revolution reveals that time is less rigid than we thought, perhaps sleep itself is your daily revolution, a place where the rules of waking dissolve and a gentler order takes hold. A timeless order, waiting quietly as you drift within it. Imagine walking through a cobblestone street at dusk, lanterns flickering faintly against the cool air, the stones damp beneath your feet. In the distance, a church bell tolls, and then silence. You look around and notice that no one is moving. A man carrying water is frozen mid-step. The horse in the square is paused with hoof above the ground, and only you seem to drift on. History is filled with stories that echo this impossible stillness. Moments when people believed time itself paused, or folded, or slipped away. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into the centuries of curious accounts. In 1759, in rural France, a group of villagers claimed they saw the sun halt in the sky for several moments. The fields lay bathed in golden light, unmoving, while the people whispered in awe. Some later dismissed it as optical illusion, others as exaggeration, but the record remains in parish notes. What might they have seen? The hum of insects, the cool weight of air, the silent shimmer of light. It felt real to them, as real as the breath moving quietly in your chest right now. In 1890, the French writer Marcel Proust described how memories, triggered by a taste or scent, dissolved the boundaries of time. His famous Madeleine, dipped in Tia, returned him to childhood instantly. Time folded like paper, collapsing years into moments. Neuroscientists today call this episodic memory reactivation. Stanislas Dehaene at the Collège de France has studied how the brain replays and stitches events, showing how fragments of the past can rise vividly, overriding the present. For Prost, it was pastry and tea. For you, it might be the faint sound of rain tapping at your window, reminding you of a night long ago. Consider another story from 1911. Two English school teachers, Charlotte Ann Mobberley and Eleanor Jourdain, visited Versailles. As they walked the gardens, they reported feeling as though they had stepped into another century. Figures in 18th century clothing passed them. The air grew heavy, sounds muted, colors strange. When they blinked, it was gone. Critics argued imagination or suggestion, but their account still lingers. Imagine yourself in that garden, the still pond reflecting a pale sky, the smell of grass damp with dew, the uncanny hush pressing in. Whether real or dreamlike, the experience shaped their sense of time forever. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You sit in a dim parlor lit by oil lamps. A pocket watch rests on the table, its ticking steady. Suddenly, the tick slows, then stops. The flame of the lamp stretches, frozen mid-flicker. Outside, the street is quiet, snowflakes suspended in mid-air. You press your hand to the cool glass of the window, feeling both awe and calm. In this silence, you realize you are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. History is scattered with such mysteries. In 1951, a man named Rudolph Fenz supposedly appeared in New York City wearing 19th century clothing, disoriented, carrying old coins. Though the story later proved a likely fiction, it captured the imagination. Why? Because it played upon a deep intuition. That time might not be fixed. That perhaps, while you dream, such slips could be possible. Even science has accounts that read like fables. In the 1960s, at Princeton, the PR lab explored random number generators influenced by human intention. Subtle deviations appeared, as though thought itself could ripple against probability. If minds can ripple machines, perhaps they ripple clocks as well. The hum of the devices in the lab, the quiet concentration of researchers, all echo the same wonder. The boundary of time is thinner than we think. And then there is the curious work of Michael Gazzaniga, who with Roger Sperry studied split brain patients in the 1960s. When the brain's hemispheres were separated, one side could act without the other's knowledge, yet the person still wove a seamless story of continuity. Time, in their mind, had not fractured even though their brain had. You might imagine this as a corridor of mirrors, each reflecting a slightly different angle, yet to you, the passage feels whole. Perhaps history itself is like this, countless fractured stories, but your mind stitches them into a continuous flow. An anecdote rises. During World War I, soldiers wrote of moments in battle when time seemed to slow to an impossible crawl. A single second stretched into eternity, every detail vivid. The smell of mud, the thrum of artillery, the sting of cold air. Psychologists today suggest adrenaline alters perception, but to the soldiers, it felt like a break in reality. Imagine yourself instead not in battle, but lying quietly beneath blankets, feeling time slow, your breath stretching longer, your body heavier, your mind widening into stillness. The same distortion, but softened into safety. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. You realize that strange accounts from history, whether of paused suns, folded memories, or gardens out of time, all share one gentle thread. They remind us that time is not always steady, that beneath the ticking of clocks, there is a deeper rhythm, sometimes glimpsed in moments of awe, sometimes in dreams, sometimes in silence. The night around you feels spacious now, as if history itself is holding you. Shadows dissolve at the edge of the room. The hum of silence feels tender, like a hand resting lightly on your shoulder. You are safe here. Everything can soften now, and as the stories of centuries whisper around you, a quiet thought arises. If people across time have glimpsed pauses, slips, and folds in reality, then perhaps your own nightly journey through sleep is part of that same lineage, a personal history, carried each night where time dissolves and mystery waits like a gentle lantern in the dark. Imagine a quiet evening, the city lights glowing faintly in the distance, while inside your room the hum of electricity is steady and low. The clock shows midnight, but something feels unusual. A sudden flicker of light at the edge of your vision. A sound too soft to name. And a sensation that the moment has stretched just a little longer than it should. These small disturbances are common in modern life, yet they echo ancient mysteries. Whispers of time bending, slipping, or halting for reasons science cannot fully explain. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into stories collected not in dusty texts, but in the world you inhabit now. In 1977, Philip Klass investigated cases of time slips reported by airline pilots who described flying into clouds where instruments failed and clocks disagreed. The aircraft emerged intact, yet minutes seemed to have vanished. Imagine the cockpit glow, dials softly lit, the faint vibration of engines, and then silence. When time returned, they could not account for where it had gone. Consider also the accounts from drivers on long highways who describe missing time. Hours of travel seem compressed into minutes, as though they have drifted through some hidden passage. Psychologists suggest highway hypnosis, a trance state induced by monotony. But others wonder if the mind slips into another rhythm altogether, one where minutes fold neatly into themselves. The sensation is much like sleep. You close your eyes and wake to a morning that feels both instant and eternal. In the 1980s, researchers at the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, PER, studied random number generators and human influence. Subtle shifts suggested something uncanny. Intention might nudge probability. Imagine that your quiet thought, as gentle as a sigh, rippling outward, altering machines, altering outcomes. If thoughts ripple, might they ripple time as well? The hum of the computer fans in the lab, the faint smell of solder and paper, the click of switches, ordinary sounds carrying extraordinary implications. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are walking down a modern street at night. Neon signs glow, their colors soft against a drizzle of rain. The pavement shines under streetlights, reflecting fragments of red and green. You pause at an intersection and notice that the raindrops have frozen in the air, suspended. A car's headlights are caught mid-glow. The world is still silent, tenderly paused. You reach out and touch a drop. It is cool, round, and perfect. For that moment, time is yours, and you realize you are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Modern neuroscience brings new puzzles. In 2007, neuroscientist David Eagleman studied how the brain perceives time under stress. Volunteers dropped into freefall reported that moments stretched, details sharpened, as if time slowed to half its speed. Eagleman found the brain does not actually accelerate, but memory density increases. You record more impressions, and the richness creates the illusion of longer time. In dreams, this same principle may unfold. Entire lifetimes lived in the span of minutes. Unexplained phenomena appear in quieter ways too. People across the world describe synchronicities, moments when unrelated events align with uncanny precision. Carl Jung suggested such experiences reveal a causal connection, where inner and outer realities briefly mirror each other. Picture looking at a clock, just as it strikes the same numbers as your birthday, or receiving a call from a friend just as you were thinking of them. The moment feels tender, as though time itself bent to place you in harmony with another. Another anecdote surfaces in 1998. Two police officers in Leeds, England, claimed to have walked through a street that appeared suddenly transformed into a Victorian marketplace. Stalls stood where shops should be, figures in old clothing passed, the air smelled of wood smoke. Moments later, the scene dissolved, leaving modern pavement behind. Skeptics doubted, but the officers remained convinced. Imagine stepping into such a corridor. Cobbles beneath your feet, voices echoing from another century, the hush of history pressing close around you. And what of dreams? In the 1960s, Dr. Stanley Krippner at Maimonides Medical Center observed dream telepathy experiments, where subjects seemed to dream images sent by distant partners. Perhaps the dream state dissolves the walls of time, allowing moments to bleed into each other. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. And perhaps you too have felt it. The uncanny dream that later unfolds in waking life, as if time whispered its secrets ahead of schedule. Auditory illusions also remind us of time's fragility. Psychologists have shown that a sound repeated at precise intervals can create the sense of slowed or expanded moments. The mind stitches silence between beats. Imagine sitting in the quiet of your room, hearing the faint ticking of a clock. The spaces between ticks begin to widen, stretch, dissolve. Soon, the ticks themselves vanish, leaving you in a pool of timeless quiet. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The unexplained phenomena of modern life, pilots' vanished minutes, missing time on highways, synchronicities, dream experiments, temporal illusions, all carry the same gentle suggestion. Time is not as rigid as it seems. It bends, pauses, stretches, dissolves. As the night deepens, the hum of the world fades. Streetlights glow like distant stars. Your breath slows. The blankets hold you tenderly, and a soft wonder arises. If time can slip in modern skies, in highways, in dreams, in labs, then perhaps your own sleep is its most beautiful mystery. Perhaps every night, as you drift, you are living in the pause that science cannot yet explain. Imagine holding a single grain of sand in your palm, its edges sharp against your skin, its weight almost nothing, and then realizing that within that tiny grain, entire possibilities might be unfolding, unseen, layered upon each other. At the quantum scale, paradox is not the exception but the rule. The world does not behave like a simple clockwork. It ripples, folds, and blurs. And as you rest tonight, you might sense that same mystery threading through your own quiet mind. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into the strange paradoxes that shape reality itself. Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle whispered that you cannot know both where a particle is and how it moves. The sharper you focus on its position, the more its motion dissolves. The sharper you focus on its motion, the more its location fades. It is like trying to hold on to a dream. Each time you reach for it, it slips through your fingers. Niels Bohr embraced this, suggesting that particles are both waves and points, depending on how you look. Complementarity, he called it. Imagine standing by the sea at dusk. The waves stretch and dissolve, lines of silver foam rolling endlessly. Yet if you step closer, you see droplets, countless points of water glistening against your skin. Both visions are true, and yet neither is whole. Time itself may be like this, both flowing endlessly and pausing silently, depending on how you turn toward it. Consider Schrödinger's famous thought experiment from 1935. A cat in a box is both alive and not alive until observed. To some, it seemed absurd. Yet this paradox was a mirror of the quantum world, where possibility lingers until attention chooses. Picture yourself standing before a small wooden box in a quiet room. The shadows are deep, the air cool. You hear only your own breathing. Until you open the lid, countless futures exist within. When you lift it, one story unfolds. Sleep may be the same, a closing of lids, inside which countless lifetimes play, only one remembered when you awaken. John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment expanded the paradox. A particle traveling across space for billions of years could change its behavior at the very last instant, depending on how you choose to measure it now. Imagine a photon that left a star when dinosaurs walked the earth, its journey immense, silent, unbroken. And yet its nature is decided by you here tonight in this quiet room. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. And in that rest, perhaps your choices ripple backward as well as forward, touching time in ways science only begins to glimpse. David Bohm offered another vision, the implicate order. Beneath the surface of reality lies a hidden depth, where all things are unfolded. What looks separate is woven together, like images folded in a hologram. Imagine holding a crystal in your hand, light scattering across its facets. Within each angle lies the whole reflection of your room, your face, the candlelight. The implicate order whispers that time itself may be folded this way, each moment containing the whole, each dream holding eternity in miniature. A short scene unfolds. You walk through a laboratory at night, the machines quiet, lights low. A beam of particles flickers across a dark chamber. Screens glow softly, humming with unread data. You reach out, touch the cool metal of a console, feel its vibration steady against your skin. The room feels hushed, reverent, as though the universe itself is waiting for you to notice. The paradoxes seem less like puzzles now, and more like gentle doorways into wonder. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff carried these mysteries into the mind. Their OR theory suggested that quantum processes inside neurons could shape consciousness. If so, then your thoughts, your dreams, your sense of time may be quantum events themselves, fragile, shimmering, timeless. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, imagining your mind as a field of tiny lights, flickering, entangled with the cosmos. Max Tegmark, on the other hand, argued that consciousness might be patterns in mathematics itself, a frozen structure. If true, then the feeling of flow is an illusion. You are not moving through time. You are simply passing across slices of a timeless structure, like a reader turning pages. Imagine yourself in a vast library again, each page a universe, each breath turning another. You feel the texture of paper beneath your fingers, the faint scent of dust and ink, and the sense that all of it already exists, waiting quietly for you as you continue to listen. And with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You notice that these paradoxes, though bewildering, always circle back to the same feeling, that reality is not fixed, that time is not solid, that possibility itself is the fabric you rest upon each night. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The blankets hold you tenderly. The night air cools gently against your skin, and the quiet hum of silence becomes your companion. And as your body sinks deeper, a soft wonder lingers. If quantum paradoxes are true, that a particle is both here and not, that the universe decides only when observed, then perhaps your dreams are not simply illusions. Perhaps they are the many lives folded into you, waiting for the moment you drift into them. And if so, then every night is its own quiet experiment, unveiling the timeless nature of who you are. Imagine a dice tumbling through the air, its faces glinting in dim light. You reach out and catch it in your palm, the edges pressing into your skin, the faint clatter echoing in your ears. For a moment it hovers, not yet revealing its number. That pause, between the roll and the result, is where probability lies. And in many ways, reality itself might be just such a pause, unfolding not with certainty, but with possibility. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into this strange world where chance and choice weave together. Albert Einstein once resisted the idea, famously remarking that God does not play dice with the universe. Yet Niels Bohr replied that perhaps dice are indeed at the heart of things. In their debate, probability became more than mathematics. It became the way reality itself might be stitched. Imagine their voices in a quiet lecture hall, chalk dust drifting in the air, the hum of lamps overhead. The argument was fierce, yet beneath it lay wonder. How could existence itself be anything but certain, and yet it might not be? In 1926, Max Born proposed that the wave function describes not a definite path, but probabilities. The electron does not travel along one single road. It spreads like mist, every possibility alive until measured. You might imagine walking down a corridor lined with countless doors, each glowing faintly, each waiting. Only when you reach out, your hand brushing the cool metal handle, does one door open. All the others fade into silence. In this way, each moment you live might be only one of countless paths, hidden in the quiet air around you. Modern experiments confirm this strangeness. In 2007, physicists performed variations of the double-slit experiment with delayed choices. Light and matter behaved as if aware of probability, showing patterns only when no one looked too closely. Probability does not just predict, it creates. Imagine standing on a beach, watching waves roll in. Each wave could crash, could dissolve, could merge with another. You do not know which until the very last moment. The sound of the surf is steady, the salt cool in the air, the sand pressing soft beneath your toes. Probability is the ocean beneath your feet. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You stand in a casino at night, but there is no noise of crowds, no voices. Only the low hum of lights and the faint spin of roulette wheels. You touch the felt of the table, cool and smooth, as the ball slows in its track. Around you, the world is hushed. The ball could land anywhere, every number glowing faintly, suspended, and in that pause, you feel calm, safe. Nothing urgent, just rest. Carl Friston, in the 2000s, developed predictive coding theory, suggesting that the brain itself works by generating probabilities. Every sensation, every moment, is your mind's best guess, refined with each new breath of information. Reality, then, is less a photograph and more a forecast. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, recognizing that what you call the present might be your brain's probability field, collapsing into now. Giulio Tononi's integrated information theory also suggests that consciousness is woven from patterns of possibility. Each dream, each thought, might be a branching probability resolved into one lived experience. Imagine lying beneath a night sky, the stars glimmering like dice scattered across black velvet. Each star holds countless paths, yet from where you lie, only one view appears. The cool night air touches your skin, the faint chirp of crickets steadies your ear, and the weight of blankets grounds you into the present. An anecdote surfaces from gambling history. In 1913, at a casino in Monte Carlo, the roulette wheel landed on black 20, 6 times in a row. Spectators gasped. Certain red was due. Yet probability does not remember. Each spin was its own fresh moment. Some ruined fortunes that night, believing the past would guarantee the future. But perhaps this story is a parable of time itself. Each moment is fresh, unbound, its probability not chained to what came before. And what of dreams? Psychologists studying lucid states note how dreamers sometimes feel they can influence the path of events. A monster becomes a friend, a fall becomes flight. It feels like probability bending within the dreamscape. Perhaps this is not illusion, but a mirror of waking truth. Your awareness carries the power to collapse the possibilities of your inner world. And perhaps, just perhaps, the outer world as well. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. Probability need not feel uncertain. It can feel like freedom. The dice is not a threat but an open field, waiting gently for your step. The night around you hums softly, like a low lullaby, and you realize the unknown is spacious, tender, protective. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. A thought lingers. If reality is built not from certainties, but from probabilities, then perhaps your dreams each night are the most honest reflection of truth. A place where possibilities bloom freely, dissolving into one gentle path as you rest. And if life itself is such a blooming, then every breath you take is another doorway into mystery, another roll of timeless dice. Imagine a vast corridor within yourself, its walls lined with mirrors stretching into infinity. Each mirror reflects a different version of you, some laughing, some dreaming, some silent, some lost in thought. You walk slowly, the cool floor beneath your bare feet, the quiet echo of each step soft against the dim air. This is the landscape of your mind, and it may have more dimensions than you can see in waking light. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into the idea that your inner world is not flat but layered, expansive, perhaps even infinite. Modern neuroscience has only begun to map these corridors. In 2001, Marcus Rachel identified the brain's default mode network, a web of regions glowing when you are not focused on the outside world. It is most active when you dream, wander, reflect. Picture the hum of scanners in a lab, the faint glow of computer screens, the stillness of volunteers lying quietly within machines. What lights up when you rest may be the same networks that carry you across hidden dimensions each night. Carl Jung spoke of archetypes and the collective unconscious, suggesting that beneath personal thought lies a shared field of images. Mythic figures dream motifs, symbols, like echoes resonating through generations. In this way, your mind is not bounded by your own years, but part of a timeless story. Imagine drifting into a dream where you walk beside figures from myth, their voices low, their presence familiar. Though you have never met, the cool air of the dream carries both comfort and mystery. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You sit inside a planetarium, the dome above filled with galaxies spiraling slowly. Stars glide across in silence, their light faint blue and silver. You lean back, feeling the smooth curve of the seat beneath you, the gentle hum of machinery turning overhead. As you gaze upward, you sense that the dome is not merely showing space, it is mirroring your own mind. Each galaxy could be a thought, each star a memory, each constellation a hidden pattern waiting to be traced. In 1983, Benjamin Libet observed readiness potentials in the brain before conscious intention appeared, suggesting the mind prepares action before you are aware of choosing. Some took this as proof against free will. Others saw it as a reminder that consciousness is layered. There may be parts of you acting in dimensions you cannot easily see, preparing paths before awareness notices. Imagine standing at a crossroads in a foggy forest. You sense that one path has already been chosen, though you cannot yet see which. The mist cools your skin, damp and fragrant with pine, as you realize that deeper layers of you may be guiding each step. Dream research adds more threads. In the 1950s, Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Klitman discovered REM sleep, the phase of vivid dreams, rapid eye movements, the stage where your mind builds landscapes as real as waking life. Later, Researchers like Alan Hobson suggested dreams might be the brain's way of making sense of internal signals. Others, like Stanley Krippner, pointed to evidence of dream telepathy, suggesting dimensions of mind that stretch far beyond one body. The truth may be both. Dreams are not confined, they are woven from multiple layers: personal, biological, collective, perhaps even universal. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, as though sinking gently into those layers, feeling the soft weight of blankets grounding you, while your awareness unfurls into spacious corridors. Consider Carl Friston's predictive processing model, which views the brain as a prediction engine. Each perception is not raw input, but an expectation refined by evidence. In this way, your mind is not passively receiving reality, but actively shaping it. Perhaps this shaping extends across dimensions. Your inner expectations touching the outer world, bending probability as subtly as wind bends the surface of water. Philosophers, too, sensed this expansiveness. William James, writing in 19, suggested that consciousness is like a field with a focus and a fringe, where attention lights a center, but the edges remain dim, mysterious, filled with possibilities. The fringe may be those dimensions you only glimpse in dreams, déjà vu, or sudden insight. Imagine sitting at a desk, candlelight glowing across an open journal, and suddenly words flow that you did not know you carried. The fringe has stepped into the focus, and for a moment, you see more of yourself. An anecdote whispers from the world of art. Salvador Dali practiced slumber with a key, dozing in a chair while holding a metal key above a plate. As he drifted into dreams, the key would fall, clattering, waking him. In those fleeting instants, he captured images from the liminal threshold. Melting clocks, endless corridors, impossible landscapes. He believed these glimpses were dimensions of the mind that only appeared when time itself softened. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You sense these dimensions within yourself, not just thought and memory, but layers of intuition, symbol, silence. Layers where time may pause, bend, or dissolve. The tactile presence of your body grounds you. The softness of fabric, the weight of blankets, the rhythm of breath. Auditory stillness surrounds you. The faint hum of the night, the quiet house settling. Visual darkness expands, punctuated by the memory of stars or candlelight. Each sense folds inward, pointing not to the outside world, but to the spacious inner one. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The mind's dimensions are not places to fear, but to drift into, like rivers carrying you home. And as you sink further into rest, one wonder rises gently. If your mind holds corridors of mirrors, galaxies of memory, thresholds of timeless images, then perhaps sleep is your nightly journey through this inner cosmos. A cosmos as vast as the outer universe, yet intimate, tender, and waiting for you with each breath. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest at night, the trees rising tall and dark, their branches swaying faintly in the cool breeze. Ahead, there is a clearing where the moon spills silver across the grass, and in that clearing lies a doorway made of light. You hesitate, feeling the softness of air against your skin, hearing the low hum of insects in the shadows. To step through is to enter the unknown. This is what modern explorers of consciousness face: the threshold of mystery, glowing before them, waiting to be crossed. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into the questions scientists and philosophers now wrestle with. In 2004, Giulio Tononi proposed integrated information theory, suggesting that consciousness is not located in one place but arises from the complexity of connections. Imagine a net of stars across the sky, each one glowing, each thread binding them together. The greater the net, the brighter the glow of awareness. Your own mind, in this vision, is a galaxy of lights, shining even as you drift into sleep. Christoph Koch, working alongside Tononi, searched for the neural correlates of consciousness, tracing which brain regions flicker during awareness. Picture the soft hum of an fMRI machine, the glow of images on a monitor, patterns of blood flow painting portraits of thought. And yet, for all the precision of their instruments, a question lingers. The data hums, but does it capture the warmth of your inner life? Or is there always something left unsaid, unmeasured, like the silence between heartbeats? Anil Seth offered another vision: perception as a controlled hallucination. What you see, hear, and feel is not raw input but your brain's best guess, constantly updated. If reality itself is a hallucination refined by consensus, then dreams might be the purest version of this truth. Your own private reality, unbound by agreement. Imagine walking through a quiet museum where paintings shift as you gaze at them. A forest turns into a river into a sky into a city of mirrors. Each glance remakes the world. You reach out, fingertips grazing the cool glass of a frame, and in that instant, the boundary between real and imagined dissolves. In 1988, Bernard Bars introduced the global workspace theory. He suggested that consciousness is like a theater. Countless unconscious processes work backstage, but only those that reach the spotlight of attention become part of your experience. Picture yourself seated in a dark theater, the hush of velvet curtains around you, the faint creak of wood beneath your chair. A spotlight opens on stage, illuminating a single figure. Everything else fades into shadow. Your awareness is this light, always moving, always choosing. In dreams, perhaps the spotlight shifts in ways freer than waking allows, illuminating hidden corners of the mind. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are inside a laboratory at twilight, the windows glowing faintly orange. Machines hum quietly. Lights blink in steady rhythms. Researchers move softly among instruments. One hands you a headset, cool against your skin. As you slip it on, images fill your vision, patterns of your own brainwaves, colors swirling gently, forming shapes that shift with each breath. You feel calm, grounded, safe. Nothing urgent, just rest. In that glow, you sense the frontier not as a place of fear, but as an invitation to explore gently. Neuroscientist Stanislas Dehaene added to this vision, proposing that consciousness arises when information crosses thresholds of global availability in the brain. Much like sound amplifying into music when it fills a hall, awareness may emerge when signals resonate widely enough. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. And you realize that your own thoughts tonight may be resonances, rippling gently across your inner space. Robin Carhart Harris, in his studies of psychedelics, introduced the RABUS model, relaxed beliefs under psychedelics. He suggested that rigid predictions of the brain soften, allowing new patterns to form. This echoes dreams, where ordinary logic loosens and extraordinary images arrive. Imagine lying in a meadow under shifting clouds. Each cloud changes shape: lion, ship, stairway, hand, and you accept them all without resistance. The cool grass presses against your back. The scent of earth is rich, and your mind feels wide, tender, unbound. Even Carl Friston predictive coding links here, suggesting your mind constantly forecasts the world, adjusting with each surprise. Consciousness, then, is not a fixed state, but a balance of expectation and wonder. Perhaps sleep tilts that balance, letting wonder rise higher than prediction, giving you a nightly rehearsal for possibility itself. Philosophers join this frontier too. Thomas Nagel once asked, "What is it like to be a bat?" reminding us that consciousness is defined by its perspective, impossible to reduce. The question lingers like a riddle. What is it like to be you, drifting now between waking and sleep? The answer cannot be measured in instruments or theories. It can only be lived, breath by quiet breath. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The blankets hold you. The cool air brushes against your cheek, and the silence of the night wraps you in tenderness. These frontiers of study, though vast, circle back to something simple: the gentle presence of your own awareness, here and now. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. A thought unfolds quietly. If consciousness is a field, a net, a theater, a prediction, a dream, then perhaps your own sleep tonight is its purest frontier. A journey not outward but inward, through the spacious corridors of your own mind. And if so, then every night you are already stepping through the doorway of light, into the mystery that waits gently, endlessly, within you. Imagine an old archive buried beneath the ground, its corridors lined with shelves of dust, covered scrolls, the faint smell of parchment and stone mixing with cool air. A lantern flickers, casting shadows that seem to stretch like fingers along the walls. You step slowly, your hand brushing against cracked bindings. Here, in silence, you sense that some truths have been hidden, some knowledge carefully veiled, as though time itself had chosen to keep secrets. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into the stories of what may have been forgotten or concealed. Ancient civilizations wrote texts that only fragments of remain. The Library of Alexandria once held countless scrolls, maps of stars, treatises on medicine, visions of the cosmos. But much of it was lost in fire. Imagine the flames reflecting on marble floors, the smell of smoke, the echo of voices crying out as shelves collapsed. Knowledge dissolved, time itself devouring memory. Yet perhaps nothing truly vanishes. Perhaps it waits, buried, in places we cannot yet see. Modern historians sometimes speak of apocryphal gospels, texts excluded from canon, yet still carrying echoes of early visions of reality. One, the Gospel of Thomas, suggests that the kingdom is not in the sky or sea, but spread out before you unseen. Such words hint at hidden layers of existence, visible only when perception shifts. You picture yourself sitting by a quiet river, the water dark and still. Beneath its surface, reflections shimmer. A bird, a cloud, your own face. Yet what lies just below remains secret. Archaeology reveals similar mysteries. In 1994, at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, researchers uncovered vast stone structures buried intentionally for thousands of years. The pillars were carved with animals and symbols, older than any known temple. Why were they hidden? Was it ritual, or preservation, or a quiet attempt to veil knowledge until another age? The stones themselves hum with silence. Imagine running your hand along their cool surface, the carved shapes pressing faintly into your fingertips. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You enter a vault beneath a modern library. The lights are dim, humming softly. Shelves stretch into shadow, filled with boxes marked in fading ink. You open one carefully. Inside lies a photograph of a device, strange wires coiling, a caption half erased. You hold it gently, feeling the texture of paper, the faint scent of dust. Around you, the silence is tender, as though even hidden records are alive with waiting. Consider suppressed research in the modern era. At Princeton's PAR lab, subtle evidence suggested mind and machine were not separate. Yet mainstream science often dismissed such findings, filing them into quiet drawers. In the 1980s, Rupert Sheldrake proposed morphic fields, patterns that might guide memory and form beyond individual brains. His ideas met resistance, even ridicule. But whether embraced or rejected, they linger at the edge of awareness, like faint stars only visible in peripheral vision. Neuroscientist Michael Persinger explored the God helmet in the 1990s, using weak magnetic fields to induce mystical experiences. Volunteers reported presences, visions, shifts in time. To some, this was mere brain trickery. To others, it hinted at hidden potentials. The hum of coils, the cool helmet resting against the skull, the sudden chill on the skin when the sense of another filled the room. Such experiments remind us that suppressed or fringe knowledge still carries whispers of possibility. Even governments have guarded strange archives. Declassified documents reveal research into remote viewing and psychic phenomena during the Cold War. The Stargate Project, though controversial, recorded individuals describing distant locations with uncanny accuracy. Imagine a room where such experiments unfolded dim lights, a subject seated with eyes closed, scribbling sketches on paper. Outside, the night stretched silent as if listening. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You realize that knowledge is not only buried in libraries or vaults, it is buried within you. Memories forgotten, dreams unrecorded, intuitions dismissed, all are records waiting in the quiet. Just as civilizations left fragments carved in stone, you too carry fragments etched into your mind, waiting to be uncovered in the hush of night. Philosopher David Bohm suggested that the universe itself might hide and implicate order, enfolded beyond perception, visible only in glimpses. Perhaps suppressed knowledge is not truly gone, but folded into the fabric of reality, waiting for awareness to unfold it. Imagine a folded piece of paper in your hand. You smooth it out and images appear: maps, drawings, words. What seemed hidden was always there, simply waiting for the right gesture. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The buried archives of history, the forgotten texts, the dismissed studies, the silenced experiments, all carry the same gentle message. There is more than what is visible, and this more is not threatening, but spacious, tender, and calm. The night around you hums with this truth. Shadows in the room feel softer, the weight of blankets steadier, the cool air a gentle companion against your skin. And as you settle deeper, a thought arises like a lantern in the dark. If knowledge can be buried yet endure, then perhaps your own dreams tonight are part of that archive. Perhaps sleep is the vault, and your awareness is the archivist, wandering quietly, gently through endless records of what was, what is, and what might still be. Imagine walking through a familiar street, the glow of lamps steady, the cool night air brushing against your cheek. At first glance, everything seems ordinary. Windows lit, leaves rustling faintly in the breeze, footsteps echoing from a distance. Yet sometimes, within the ordinary, something extraordinary hides. Clues left in plain sight, overlooked because they are woven so seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into the subtle ways the world hints at mysteries. Consider the patterns of numbers that appear again and again on clocks, receipts, addresses. Carl Jung called these synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that defy simple chance. You look at a clock just as it strikes 11:11. A phone rings the moment you think of a friend. The hum of probability dissolves into the hush of meaning. Perhaps these are clues, whispering that time itself bends to awareness. Even in science, plain clues shimmer quietly. In 2001, Marcus Rachel described the brain's default mode network, the quiet hum that rises when you are not focused outward. For years, it was overlooked, dismissed as noise. Yet it may hold the key to inner consciousness, the very realm where dreams and timeless experiences unfold. Imagine the soft rhythm of a heart monitor in a lab, the glow of scanners painting patterns, and in that glow, something essential hidden until noticed. A short cinematic scene unfurls. You step into a cathedral at dusk. Sunlight filters through stained glass, painting the floor with fragments of red, gold, and blue. The air smells of stone and incense. Choir music echoes faintly. Though no one is there, you notice a carving on the wall, a small figure tucked into the corner, almost invisible. Its eyes seem to follow you. The detail was always there, yet only now do you see it. Clues wait like this in the world, revealed in stillness. Ancient architecture often held such messages. The pyramids of Egypt, aligned with stars, Stonehenge, marking solstices, temples across the world that mirrored celestial cycles. These structures stood openly for millennia, yet only modern instruments revealed the precision of their design. Imagine standing in such a temple. Moonlight slides through a carved opening, striking a specific point on the floor. The stone beneath your hand is cool, the silence deep. The clue was always there, waiting for the right gaze. In daily life, too, the mind leaves traces in plain sight. Freud spoke of slips of the tongue, small errors that reveal hidden thoughts. Today, cognitive science shows how unconscious biases shape choices. The hand reaching for one object instead of another, the glance that lingers a second too long. These tiny moments, almost invisible, are clues to dimensions of self. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You might recall your own small choices that felt guided, as though something within knew more than you did. An anecdote surfaces. In 1945, when Hiroshima lay in ruins, one object drew attention: a lone ginkgo tree, scorched but alive. Amid destruction, it sprouted again, its resilience a clue to deeper patterns of survival. Botanists studied it, yet to many it felt symbolic, life persisting against time's harshest currents. Imagine standing before that tree, its bark scarred, its leaves tender green against the sky. The clue is clear: endurance can hide even in devastation. Modern physics too has left clues in plain sight. The cosmic microwave background, soft radiation filling the universe, was first detected in 1965 by Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson. They thought it was noise from pigeons nesting in their antenna. Only later did they realize it was the afterglow of creation itself. The faint hum of the cosmos had always been there, hidden beneath ordinary static. You might imagine hearing that faint hum yourself, like a low lullaby in the night air, carrying echoes of eternity. A short beat settles. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. Clues are not only in stone or stars, they are in your own body. The way your breath slows as you rest, the way your muscles release when safety is near, the way dreams rise unbidden each night. These ordinary rhythms are extraordinary when seen clearly. Sleep itself is the grandest clue in plain sight, a daily rehearsal for timelessness. Philosopher William Blake wrote, "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite." Perhaps what you call ordinary life is already infinite, concealed behind habit. And perhaps sleep is the cleansing, the gentle widening of doors. Imagine lying in your room now. The shadows stretch across walls. The hum of distant sounds drifts closer. The fabric against your skin feels soft and grounding. You notice details you usually overlook. The faint flicker of light under the door, the rhythm of your own pulse in your ear, the rise and fall of your chest. Clues hidden in plain sight, guiding you deeper into rest. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You may wonder, if the greatest mysteries are already visible, then perhaps your own awareness is the final clue. To see is to reveal. To notice is to awaken gently to the timeless woven through the ordinary. And so a thought lingers, soft as a lantern in the night. If the universe leaves hints scattered in numbers, in stars, in temples, in your own dreams, then perhaps nothing is truly hidden. Perhaps everything you seek is already here, waiting for you to notice, tenderly, in the stillness of your rest. Imagine sitting in front of a screen at night, the glow soft against your face, the hum of circuits steady in the air. Outside the window the world is still, but within the luminous grid of pixels, entire realities unfold. We live surrounded by information, patterns, signals, streams of data flowing invisibly around us like a digital tide. And within these currents, clues about time and mind appear, sometimes hidden, sometimes startlingly clear. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into this realm where human thought and machine calculation now intertwine. In the late 20th century, the internet emerged quietly, first as lines of text connecting distant terminals. Today, its reach is immense, almost cosmic in scale. The shift is more than technological. It mirrors the networks of the brain itself, countless nodes glowing, whispering across distance. Giulio Tononi's vision of integrated information seems reflected in the very web you use each day. A collective mind, woven of light and signal, humming like neurons across the planet. In 2010, neuroscientist Stanislas Dehaene described how reading changes the brain, reconfiguring circuits to recognize symbols. Now, digital streams reshape attention in even deeper ways. Algorithms track every pause, every glance, building maps of behavior. You might imagine sitting at a desk, your fingertips brushing the smooth glass of a tablet, and unseen patterns recording each motion. In these traces are hints of how your attention flows, how time bends as you scroll, how minutes dissolve into hours unnoticed. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You sit in a darkened room, the only light a laptop before you. Lines of code stream downward, green against black. The air hums with the faint vibration of fans. You touch the keyboard, each click sharp yet soft in the stillness. Suddenly, the code forms shapes. A tree, a face, a spiral galaxy. You realize these were always hidden within the numbers, waiting for your gaze. The digital age also gave rise to quantum computing, machines that process probabilities rather than certainties. Qubits shimmer between states, neither one nor zero, both at once. This mirrors the paradoxes of dreams, where you may be both here and elsewhere, both awake and asleep. In 2019, Google's Sycamore processor achieved quantum supremacy, solving problems beyond classical machines. Imagine the hum of superconducting circuits, the hiss of cooling systems, the silver glow of wires glinting under sterile lights. Each flicker of calculation is a clue that time and logic may not be as linear as we assume. Artificial intelligence, too, reflects the mysteries of mind. Systems trained on vast oceans of text now weave responses, echoing thought itself. They do not dream as you do, yet their patterns reveal something startling. Meaning can emerge from probability. This is what your brain also does, stitching signals into coherence, making a seamless flow from fragments. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, recognizing that the line between human and machine blurs softly at the edges. An anecdote surfaces. In 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion. Many saw it as machine triumph over mind, yet Kasparov later spoke of advanced chess, where human and computer together achieved deeper insights than either alone. This is perhaps the true discovery, not replacement, but merging. Imagine sitting before a board of polished wood, pieces carved with precision. The night gleams faintly under light, the smooth texture cool beneath your fingertips. Across the table, a quiet machine waits, humming. Together you play, and the game becomes more than chance or strategy. It becomes dialogue. Even everyday digital life reshapes perception of time. A message crosses the globe in a second. A video call collapses distance. The rhythm of waking and sleeping becomes tethered to notifications and screens. Psychologists note how this acceleration shifts the brain's sense of duration. Hours online may feel like minutes. A brief silence in messages may feel like eternity. Your body rests in one timeline, but your mind drifts across another. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. The digital hum of the world outside fades as you sink deeper into the timeless quiet within. Astronomers now use immense digital surveys to map the cosmos, capturing galaxies in numbers far beyond human memory. In 2013, the Planck satellite revealed finer details of the cosmic microwave background, data transformed into images of the universe's earliest light. Once again, static became revelation. Once again, hidden signals whispered of origins. You might imagine lying beneath the night sky, your phone in hand, its screen reflecting the same stars above. Two layers of reality, the ancient and the modern, merging in quiet wonder. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You might feel that the digital age is less about machines than about mirrors. Every search, every message, every image becomes a reflection of the larger truth, that the universe is a network of patterns woven endlessly. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The weight of blankets holds you gently, the air cool upon your cheek, the hum of silence steady as a companion. And as you drift further, a soft wonder unfolds. If discoveries of the digital age reveal patterns hidden in plain sight, within data, within signals, within algorithms, then perhaps your own dreams are part of that same code. A nightly download from the infinite, waiting to be read, line by line, as you rest in timeless quiet. Imagine standing at the threshold of a laboratory filled with faint blue light. Machines hum softly, their panels glowing, wires coiling like veins through the floor. Outside, the night sky is still, but inside this room the future is already whispering. You place your hand on the cool metal of a console, feeling a faint vibration. The present feels thinner here, stretched toward possibilities. At the edge of current technology, time itself begins to blur. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into the ways innovation reshapes our sense of reality. Consider brain-computer interfaces, where electrodes translate neural signals into action. In 2021, researchers at Neuralink demonstrated a monkey playing a video game using only its thoughts. Imagine the glow of the screen, the quiet concentration of the animal, the soft tapping of keys absent. Awareness had reached through circuits into pixels. If thought can guide machines, might it also guide time? Virtual reality adds another dimension. When you slip on a headset, the world shifts instantly. A mountain appears before you, snow glistening, wind howling softly in your ears. Your body knows it is illusion, yet your heart races, your breath deepens. Time within VR bends too. Minutes stretch into hours or vanish altogether. Cognitive scientists suggest that immersive technology amplifies the same pathways your dreams already use, offering doorways into altered rhythms. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. At the frontier, quantum computers whisper of transformations. Unlike classical machines, they hold numbers in states of superposition. In 2022, advances in error correction pushed them closer to stability. Imagine a chamber chilled near absolute zero, wires gleaming silver, superconducting loops humming in silence. These machines, like your dreams, do not move through time in the way you know. They hover across probabilities, collapsing only when called upon. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are guided into a clean laboratory. White walls reflect soft light, the air cool and still. Scientists and quiet voices move around equipment, their footsteps muffled. One opens a case, revealing a chip no larger than your fingertip. Within it, billions of transistors hum like a hidden city. You lift it carefully, the edges sharp and smooth. It feels weightless, yet inside it holds immense power. The power to rearrange patterns of reality. You exhale, realizing that even the smallest device carries echoes of timelessness. Artificial intelligence evolves beside these machines, weaving language, images, even voices. Some systems generate art that feels alive. Others predict patterns across oceans of data. Robin Carhart, Harris once spoke of the brain's entropic state under psychedelics, where rigid structures soften into creativity. Perhaps AI mirrors this process, patterns shifting, breaking, recombining into visions. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. And you sense that technology, like the dreaming brain, thrives on dissolving limits. At MIT, researchers study neural prosthetics that restore speech to those who cannot speak. In 2023, teams translated brain activity into sentences, words forming silently across screens. Imagine the faint electrical hum of sensors, the glow of text appearing line by line, hidden thoughts brought into light. Perhaps time itself is like this, silent processes waiting for translation into experience. Space technology too reshapes perception. In 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope unfolded its golden mirrors, revealing galaxies older than thought possible. Light traveling for billions of years now falls upon your eyes through its instruments. A photon left its star before humanity existed, and only now does it meet you. Imagine lying beneath the night sky, knowing that the starlight above may have begun its journey when oceans first stirred with life. Time is vast, and yet it converges here, tenderly in your gaze. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The weight of blankets grounds you. The cool air brushes your cheek. The silence of night holds steady. Technology may race forward, but you rest at its calm center. An anecdote surfaces. In 1969, when Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, his words echoed around the world. Yet he later spoke of silence. The stillness of the lunar surface, the slow unfolding of each step in reduced gravity. Time seemed to stretch, each motion elongated, every sound softened. Even at the frontier of exploration, the essence was not speed but stillness. Perhaps the edge of technology always returns us to that hush. Philosopher Max Tegmark writes of a mathematical universe, suggesting that our technologies are simply reflections of deeper patterns, already present, like mirrors revealing what was always there. In the same way, your dreams may not invent but reveal quiet technologies of the mind, waiting for you each night. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. You sense that the edge of current technology does not lead away from you, but inward. Each circuit, each discovery, each telescope is another metaphor for your own awareness, expanding, unfolding, reflecting the timeless mystery you carry. And as you drift, a soft wonder lingers. If the smallest chip holds echoes of timeless possibility, and the farthest telescope reveals ancient light, then perhaps you too are such a device, a living instrument of awareness, carrying galaxies and dreams alike, waiting to unfold with each breath of rest. Imagine standing on the edge of a wide plain at dawn. The horizon glows faintly, shadows dissolving into soft light. A hush lingers in the air, as though the world is holding its breath. Each step you take feels like a threshold, as if beyond the line of morning lies something new, something waiting. Humanity often feels this way, on the cusp of transformation, not yet fully awake, still drifting between what is and what might be. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper into the thought of what our next step could be. Technology expands, science reaches further, yet the essence of progress may be quieter than invention. Perhaps the next step is not outward, but inward, a widening of perception, a softening of barriers, a recognition of our shared rhythm. Consider the vision of Carl Sagan, who reminded us that Earth is a pale blue dot suspended in darkness. From that vantage, the divisions of nations blur, and time itself feels fragile. The Voyager probe that carried his golden record drifts still, a small messenger into eternity. Imagine the spacecraft, its instruments silent now, its body glinting faintly in the void. It moves slowly, steadily, through timeless night, a symbol not of conquest, but of connection. In neuroscience, thinkers like Christoph Koch and Anil Seth remind us that understanding consciousness might be the greatest frontier. If we can glimpse how awareness arises, we may step into a new relationship with reality itself. Imagine humanity recognizing that each breath, each dream, is not isolated, but part of a vast continuum of experience. This recognition might change not only science, but how gently we live with one another. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You stand in a city of the future. Towers rise, their glass glowing with reflected stars. Yet the streets are quiet, lit softly, filled not with noise but with calm. People move slowly, their voices low, as though they understand that time itself is precious. The air is cool, carrying the scent of rain. You reach out to touch a wall, its surface smooth, pulsing faintly with energy. This is a future where technology hums quietly in harmony with life, not against it. The philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin envisioned the noosphere, a layer of collective thought encircling the earth, growing stronger as humanity connects. With every message sent, every dream shared, every act of empathy, this sphere widens. Perhaps the next step is not physical evolution, but the birth of a collective mind, a web of awareness as tender and vast as the stars above. Space exploration offers another vision. The James Webb Telescope shows galaxies at the edge of time. Private missions prepare to carry people farther than before. Yet, beyond rockets and machines, there is a deeper question. How will we carry ourselves into those futures? If time bends and stretches, perhaps our journey is not about reaching another planet, but about learning to dwell gently in the vastness we already inhabit. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. The next step of humanity need not feel like urgency. It can feel like unfolding, slow and tender, like the way your breath lengthens as you drift towards sleep. An anecdote arises. In 1968, as Apollo 8 orbited the moon, the astronauts turned their camera back toward Earth. The image, later called Earthrise, showed our planet rising above lunar horizon, blue, delicate, suspended in blackness. One astronaut later said it was not the moon they discovered, but Earth. This was a quiet step for all humanity, to see ourselves anew, small but beautiful, finite but shared. Modern thinkers like Yuval Noah Harari suggest the next transformation may be in redefining what it means to be human, biologically, socially, spiritually. Yet beneath speculation, a simple truth emerges: humanity's next step may be not to extend time, but to deepen presence, to learn how to be fully here in each quiet moment without rushing past. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You may sense that your own journey mirrors humanity's. Each night you dissolve into dreams. Each morning you awaken anew. Each breath is itself a next step, gentle and certain. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The weight of blankets holds you, the air cool upon your skin, the silence of the room steady as a companion. And as you drift deeper into rest, one soft wonder lingers. If humanity's next step is not about speed or conquest, but about awareness, then perhaps your own sleep tonight is already part of that journey. Each dream, each pause in time, a step toward a gentler world waiting quietly within you. Imagine sitting in a quiet room at dawn, the light just beginning to spill across the floor, the air cool, carrying the faint scent of morning. A notebook lies open before you, its pages empty, waiting. Tomorrow's philosophies are like this, blank pages that humanity has only begun to fill. The pens are in our hands, but the words are still drifting, forming in silence. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into the thought of how ideas yet to come may reshape the way we live, dream, and understand time itself. Philosophy has always moved alongside science, tracing meaning where numbers alone cannot reach. As discoveries unfold, tomorrow's thinkers may look not for certainty, but for gentleness, for ways of seeing that hold paradox without fear. Consider process philosophy, carried forward from Alfred North Whitehead. He spoke of reality as a web of events, not things, moments flowing into one another, each carrying echoes of the past and whispers of the future. Imagine standing by a river, the water cool against your fingers, the current flowing yet never repeating. You realize that you too are a river, each breath dissolving into the next. Tomorrow's philosophy may not ask, what is fixed? But what flows? Contemporary thinkers, such as Thomas Metzinger, have suggested that the self is not a permanent entity, but a model the brain constructs, useful but not ultimate. If the self is a model, then dreams may be another kind of modeling, dissolving identity into softer shapes. Imagine closing your eyes and feeling your face shift, your voice change, your form dissolve. The dream does not frighten you, it frees you. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are seated in a circular library with walls of glass. Outside, the sky shifts through colors: indigo, silver, rose, without regard to time. Books float gently in the air, drifting as though carried by unseen tides. You reach for one, its cover glowing faintly. As you open it, the words rearrange themselves with each glance. The philosophy of tomorrow may be like this: fluid, shifting, never fixed, yet always meaningful. Future ethics may also take new forms. As artificial intelligence grows, philosophers ask what it means to share existence with non-human minds. Are they tools, companions, or something more? Imagine speaking softly to a machine that answers not with coldness but with tenderness. Its voice is steady, its rhythm calm. In its patterns, you hear something human and something beyond. Tomorrow's philosophy may ask not what separates us, but what connects us. Environmental philosophy, too, carries weight into tomorrow. As the earth warms and ecosystems strain, new wisdom may emerge, not mastery over nature, but harmony within it. Indigenous traditions have long carried this vision, speaking of rivers as relatives, of forests as kin. Tomorrow may finally learn to listen. Imagine lying in a meadow, the grass cool beneath your skin, the hum of insects steady in your ears, the sun warm but gentle on your face. You breathe, and the world breathes with you. Even the philosophy of time may shift. Instead of viewing time as linear, thinkers may embrace cyclical, layered, or holographic visions. Already, some physicists suggest time may be emergent, not fundamental. Philosopher Julian Barber imagines a universe of nows, each complete, each timeless, strung together by memory. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. And perhaps you sense this yourself, that your dreams are timeless snapshots, stitched together into the story you call your life. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The blankets hold you gently. The night air cools your skin. The silence carries you. Tomorrow's philosophies need not be heavy or distant. They may be as simple as this moment of presence. An anecdote rises. In 1999, philosopher John Wheeler, near the end of his life, was asked what he thought the universe was. He paused, then said, "It is a participatory universe." His words suggested that reality itself requires observers, that without awareness, nothing unfolds. This may be tomorrow's truth, not that humans dominate the cosmos, but that consciousness and cosmos are entwined. Like two mirrors facing each other, endlessly reflecting. And as you drift further, the thought settles quietly. Tomorrow's philosophies may not give final answers, but they may teach us to rest within mystery, to live without rushing, to dream without fear. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You may feel that you are already part of this tomorrow, for every philosophy begins not with a system, but with a moment of awareness, with one breath, with one quiet noticing of time dissolving. And as the night holds you, a final wonder lingers. If tomorrow's philosophies are pages still unwritten, then perhaps your dreams tonight are already writing them, softly, gently, on the canvas of the timeless. Imagine a morning where you rise slowly, light spilling through the curtains like a quiet tide, your body still heavy with the softness of night. The wisdom you gathered in dreams lingers faintly, like a fragrance that clings after the flower has gone. To integrate wisdom into daily life is not to carry it as weight, but to let it ripple gently, shaping each breath, each step. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into how these insights can settle into ordinary rhythms. Philosophers and mystics alike remind us that wisdom is not found in lofty towers, but in the way you touch a cup, the way you breathe, the way you pause before speaking. Even modern science suggests that small practices rewire the brain. In 2004, Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin studied long-term meditators and found their brains showed greater activity in regions linked to compassion and calm. Imagine sitting with a warm bowl in your hands, the steam rising, the scent of tea grounding you. The practice is simple, yet it changes the landscape of the mind. In daily life, wisdom appears in pauses. When you feel a rush of urgency, you can soften your breath, feel the ground beneath your feet, and remember, time is not a tyrant, but a companion. Neuroscientist Jack Panksepp, who studied the emotional foundations of the brain, spoke of systems of care and play as central to life. Perhaps integrating wisdom is less about control, more about remembering joy. Imagine laughter bubbling during an ordinary walk, the echo of it bouncing off walls, reminding you that presence is enough. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are in a kitchen at dusk, light slanting across wooden floors. A kettle hums softly, steam curling upward. You touch the smooth surface of the counter, cool under your fingertips, and breathe deeply. There is nothing extraordinary, yet everything feels full. Colors richer, sounds tender, time slowed. This is wisdom woven into the ordinary. Ancient texts hint at the same. The Upanishads spoke of the self that witnesses all, urging that daily life be lived as sacred play. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, wrote of tending each moment as though it were eternity. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper. And perhaps you sense that the greatest truths are not hidden, but waiting in the smallest gestures. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Modern practices echo this. Mindfulness, cognitive therapy, compassion training, all suggest the same rhythm, bring awareness gently back to now. The texture of fabric against your skin, the hum of night beyond your window, the weight of blankets grounding you. These are not distractions, but doorways. An anecdote arises. A gardener in Kyoto once explained that tending moss required no special tools, only presence. Each morning, he walked slowly across the garden, brushing dew with his fingertips, clearing leaves with quiet care. The moss thrived, not from effort, but from attention. Perhaps daily life is the same. What thrives is what you notice, what you touch with gentleness. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You realize integration is not about adding more, but softening into what already is. Time itself becomes friendlier when you treat each breath as sufficient, each moment as whole. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The night hums quietly around you, the air cool upon your skin, and the wisdom of centuries settles into this simple truth. To live with awareness is to live fully. And as you drift further, a final wonder lingers. If wisdom can hide in tea, in laughter, in moss, then perhaps your own dreams tonight are already guiding you toward the simplest, deepest integration, the art of living gently within the timeless. Imagine walking through a foggy meadow at dawn, the grass damp beneath your feet, each step releasing the faint scent of earth. The mist curls gently, veiling the distance. You cannot see the horizon, yet the silence feels tender, not threatening. This is what it means to live with the unknown, to walk forward even when the path dissolves into haze. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, into the thought that the unknown is not an enemy, but a companion. For centuries, humans have feared what lies beyond certainty, yet wisdom traditions remind us that mystery is fertile ground. The Tao Te Ching whispers, "The way that can be named is not the eternal way." In those words is an invitation to rest in what cannot be defined. Modern science, too, humbles us before mystery. Cosmologists estimate that most of the universe is made of dark matter and dark energy, substances unseen, only inferred. Imagine lying beneath the night sky, billions of stars glittering above, yet knowing that the true fabric of reality remains hidden. The unknown does not diminish you. It surrounds you like a soft cloak, holding you in its vastness. A short cinematic scene unfolds. You are on a small boat drifting across a lake at night. The water is smooth, reflecting faint stars. A lantern flickers at the bow, its glow spreading in a circle. Beyond it, darkness deepens. You feel the cool wood under your hand, hear the soft lapping of water against the hull. You cannot see the far shore, but you are calm. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Psychology suggests that embracing uncertainty can bring resilience. In 2017, researchers at University College London studied how people react to uncertainty. They found that not knowing can be more stressful than pain itself. But when embraced, uncertainty fosters adaptability. You continue to listen. With each quiet breath, you drift a little deeper, realizing that the unknown need not be resisted. It can be met with softness like mist touching your skin. An anecdote surfaces. In 1492, sailors aboard Columbus's ships feared sailing beyond the known world. Maps showed sea monsters at the edges, warnings of falling into nothing. Yet the world did not end, it widened. Though history complicates the story, the lesson lingers. The unknown is often smaller than imagination makes it. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard spoke of the dizziness of freedom, the unsettling feeling of standing before infinite possibilities. But dizziness can soften into wonder. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, wind brushing your face, sea stretching endlessly below. Fear flickers, but so does awe. The unknown becomes spacious, generous. Even in dreams, the unknown is constant. You never know where the next image will lead, what shape the next corridor will take. Yet you drift willingly, allowing scenes to dissolve and reform. This nightly practice may be the gentlest training for life itself. To live with curiosity, to trust the unfolding. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The air in your room is cool and steady, the weight of blankets grounding you, the silence humming softly in your ears. The unknown is here too, but it does not press. It surrounds you with patience. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You may realize that living in harmony with the unknown is not about solving every riddle. It is about finding peace in what cannot yet be known, resting calmly within the mystery. And as you sink further, one gentle wonder lingers. If the unknown shapes both stars and dreams, both oceans and thoughts, then perhaps it is not something outside you. Perhaps the unknown is already within you, quiet, vast, tender, guiding each breath as you drift into timeless rest. Imagine yourself lying beneath a vast night sky, the stars scattered like silver lanterns across the dark. The air is cool, the earth solid beneath you, the silence so wide it feels endless. In this stillness, you sense all the stories you have wandered through. Ancient temples, quantum paradoxes, forgotten archives, dreamscapes, and possibilities yet to come. Each one drifts now like a feather, soft, weightless, settling gently around you. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper into reflection. What if time truly pauses as you sleep? What if every dream is a doorway, every pause a revelation, every night an entry into timelessness? The thought does not need proof. It rests quietly, like a tide moving in and out, steady, eternal. You are safe here. Nothing urgent, just rest. Throughout history, thinkers, mystics, and scientists have wondered where consciousness begins and where it ends. Some spoke of the soul, others of neurons, others of probabilities shimmering across space. Yet in this moment, as you lie here, you do not need to choose between them. You can simply allow the truth to be spacious. Time can be linear, circular, emergent, or folded. Dreams can be random, or meaningful, or timeless. What matters now is the gentle peace they carry to you. A short cinematic scene unfurls. You are seated in a quiet garden at dusk. Lanterns glow faintly among the trees, their light golden against the deepening blue sky. The air is cool, carrying the faint sound of a distant stream. You rest your hands on your knees, palms open, and feel the ground beneath you solid and steady. Above, fireflies drift slowly, their glow blinking like patient stars. You breathe deeply, and in that breath, the garden, the lanterns, the fireflies, and you all feel part of the same stillness. The final reflection is simple time. However it flows or pauses is not your burden. It is your cradle. Each day carries you forward. Each night carries you inward. The unknown does not demand answers. It offers rest. The questions you have held about what lies beyond, about what is real, about how long dreams last, can soften now. They can dissolve into the silence that surrounds you. You continue to listen, and with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. And you notice how the body, releases more with every exhale. The shoulders loosen, the jaw softens, the thoughts quiet. Awareness itself widens, becoming as spacious as the night sky. An anecdote drifts through. In 1961, astronaut Yuri Gagarin returned from orbit and said, "The Earth is blue." He did not describe equations or instruments, but a simple vision. From the vastness of space, the planet appeared fragile, beautiful, alive. Perhaps wisdom always returns to this simplicity, to see clearly and to rest in what is. You are safe here. Everything can soften now. The farewell is gentle. There is no need to hold on to anything. Not questions, not answers, not even time. You can let go, as leaves let go of branches in autumn, drifting quietly toward the earth. You can let the night hold you, as the sea holds the tide, as the sky holds the stars. As you continue to listen, with each quiet breath you drift a little deeper. You feel the story dissolve into silence. Nothing more is needed. The journey is complete, and yet it never ends. Time pauses for you now, tenderly, until the morning light returns. And so the thought lingers, soft as a final lantern. If time can stop each night when you sleep, then perhaps you already live in eternity. A timeless eternity, woven gently through dreams, carrying you now into the quiet where rest is infinite. Good night.